Say check one, two. Check one, two, three. Hey, what's going on this afternoon? I'm trying to pin down a particular time to do these shows. It's going to be probably 12 or 1. I realize I'm in between right now. Sorry about that. Since it's just you watching right now, June. Anyway, today's show is not going to be super comedic, unfortunately. It's going to be serious. It's just so you can keep your sanity. That's the only reason I'm doing today's show, is just to provide a little overview perspective on some of the real insanity and important issues that are going on right now. So, June, you can probably tune out. Anyway, for those of you who are still listening, nobody. This show is about the money. The money. The money. Why is that important? Why is the money important? It's important on multiple levels. I know you probably heard money is the root of all evil. It's not. Definitely not. It is the root of all exchange. It is the fruit of all evil. No, it is. It is the root of all exchange. And basically, it's good. It's positive, and you need it in order to get the shit that you need. In order for us to have the type of flowing interchange that we have of ideas and commodities and services, the only way to do that is with some free flowing money. So, what is the problem that I'm talking about? Here's the situation. Oh, well, one more reason the money is important before we get on to. Obviously, it's personally important for all of your daily needs, like food and stuff. I mean, you wouldn't really need it for food if you had a farm and shit. But if you want to get a doctor or something sophisticated, you want to fly somewhere, you're going to need money. And so it is important. But it's more important. There's another level. And that is to say, once the economy of a society collapses below a certain level, all hell breaks loose. That's when you get wars and more serious upheaval than just the loss of some money. Wars in particular. So, super, super important. Now, what is going on? Why am I worried about the money? Economy's doing great, right? Stock market's best ever. Here's the situation. Your money and my money and everybody's money is being stolen. It's being stolen in two different ways. Two different, very important, very significant ways. And that's bad because we are in a situation where they have spent so much of the money and incurred so much debt on top of that we could be looking at a major haircut or financial reset on the order of magnitude that would cause or could cause such unrest that could lead to a war. That's the level of collapse that we're looking at having imminently in the next few decades on our current path, with one X factor that I'll talk about in just a few minutes or near the end. That could change everything and save us all and make this entire discussion irrelevant. But I think there'll be a way that they'll get around the X factor too. So what is happening? What's happening is your money's being stolen two different ways. Number one, taxes and spending. Now, and let me just say it. Number two is inflation. Now, what's going on here is the people in charge, the authorities, they have control of the money. They have legal control, and they enforce it with the guns. And what they've done is they've said two things. Number one, they've normalized taxation. It took me, 30 years before I realized that the inconsistency in my opinion about government spending was the justification of taxes. Right now, if you're born into it, you just kind of think, well, you got to pay your taxes. It pays for the stuff that you need, the public goods that otherwise you couldn't get in the free market. Otherwise, the thing is, that's bullshit. You can get pretty much everything you want out of the free market. Maybe not an army. Maybe not. Although our government did contemplate militias, well-regulated militias, being the foundation of our army. Today, it may be more sophisticated than that, but probably not. Probably you can get away with having no public goods at all. And you can have probably the entire government funded by voluntary donations. And that's hopefully where we're headed, because it's a much more free society, much more just society. And we really need to get there. But we're not there yet. And we're still in this place where everybody thinks of taxes as just being normal. But you have to remember a couple things. The federal government only has the powers that are ceded to it by the people. And you don't have the power to tax your neighbor. So how do you think the government got that power? They never did. They just took it. Even in the beginning, look, you got to remember the Constitutional Convention was illegal under the Articles of Confederation, which was the governing power at the time. Those group of people, our founding fathers, look, they did a great job, but they pulled a fast one. And it's important to remember that, because the foundation is, well, at the end of the day, you have to maintain the foundation, which is the people. And the constitutional republic is built on the concept that we've outlawed certain things that governments should never do. And the next thing on the list that is really profound and huge is taxes. If we could outlaw taxes under the Constitution, separation of tax and state, it would change the nature of our governing body significantly, I think, for the better. In fact, I'm sure it would. Think about the governors, all of our legislators. If you wanted to pass a bill, you'd have to go get funding first. You'd have to go solicit the funding. Now, all of the things that people like, all the projects that people think the government paid for now, that they do pay for now, that people like, well, you could just refund those or just transfer the funding, because if people like them, then people will fund them. What this would do is get rid of all the stuff that people don't like, and it would give us exactly the amount of government that we need, or that we want anyway, because everybody would pitch in. Now, everybody wouldn't get what everybody wants. Everybody wouldn't get what each individual person would want, but we as a collective would get what we as a collective funded, instead of what we have now, which is, of course, the taxes and the spending. So at some point, everybody's going to have to realize that taxes really are theft. And it's a really high bridge. It's a really high road, because you have to imagine that the founding fathers taken later for the most part, but you have to imagine that for the last few hundred years, that millions and millions of people, all of the people in the United States, it seems like, who seem to be in on the consensus that taxes are just fine, are incorrect. And they are, because they're not. That is, taxes are not fine. They are, in fact, theft. And there's just no justification. The ends do not justify the means. And that's what taxes purport to do these days. They take your money and they say, don't worry, we're going to give it back to you. We're going to take care of you. And they do give it back to you, or they give it back to whomever they want in society. They give most of it back. They keep some for themselves. Hey, you got to pay for the protection. And that's what's happening right now is, we are unfortunately being taken advantage of. We are on the animal farm. Everybody in every country. I don't think there's a free country on earth, but there could be, and we could get there if we outlawed taxes. That would be a big step. Now, the government has found a way around taxes. Wouldn't you know it? They really don't have to tax anymore if they don't want to. They can simply inflate the money supply. And that's what they've been doing for the last few years and decade or so. And they've really found it effective. And I think they're going to keep doing it until we get the actual real haircut, or as I said, the X factor jumps in and changes everything. The X factor's tech, by the way, and the massive increase in productivity that is on the horizon as productivity launches forward and just incredible leaps forward. The fact that somebody is stealing most of the product of that is not going to be felt as harshly at the bottom level as it would be if they were stealing from people, taking their needs, their base goods like food and housing. Now, the inflation eventually does take that stuff from them because it prices people out of the market, except for the people who are getting the gigantic government feeds. That is, if you got $1,300 from the government for your COVID relief and you think that you were the winner, you were not. You were the mark. They were people who got millions of dollars. Lots of people got millions of dollars. Lots of people got hundreds of thousands of dollars. Tens of thousands was given out like candy. Candy. I knew regular people who were getting tens of thousands of dollars. And I got 1,300 because I'm the white guy, right? It's okay. Except that they inflated the shit out of the money. And they're robbing, in particular, the savers and people on fixed incomes and people who, you think of pensioners and other people who are on income that is built off of some sort of dividend or even a CD, and they're losing right now. They're losing their standard of living as we inflate the currency out from under them. So we've got to put a stop to that. Now, the way to put a stop to that ultimately is just free coinage of money. All you have to do is open up the coinage. Just say, hey, we can compete. Everybody can compete with their money. If you want to buy Kentucky backwater bills, no problem. The world's not what it was 200 years ago. We don't need to have this entire regulatory scheme over the money system. We can easily have individual banks issue notes that are transferable and redeemable at all levels. And it'd be not a problem at all. I'm sure there'd be a couple of scammers every once in a while, but people would have to watch out for that. And it would be, overall, the efficiency would be enormous. And it would, of course, prevent the massive theft that is going on now. And we wouldn't have to go that far, really. I mean, if you just got back to like a gold standard or an anything standard, a wheat standard, if there was anything backing the dollar that was a real actual commodity, not like Bitcoin. Sorry, Bitcoin bros. I love Bitcoin and it's great. And it does have value in the sense that everybody believes it has value. That's real value. Hey, I made 20 grand off my one Bitcoin. But it doesn't have any inherent value. I'm sorry. You have to know what inherent value is. And you guys don't seem to be able to grasp that point or admit that point. Gold does have inherent value. I know you think it's just a rock, but it's not. It's a shiny rock, and girls like shiny rocks. Therefore, it has value because you can get girls if you have shiny rocks. So, no offense, girls. Listen, I'm super pro girl, which is why I'm pro gun. All right, this is spinning out of control. This is all just about the money. The X factor. Let's talk about the X factor. The X factor is tech. That is this AI and also just the tech improvements in general that are happening right now. The improvements in robotics. There are leaps and bounds in productivity that are coming to the fore. And sure, it'll put some people out of work, but other people will find a way to employ multiple robots. That's what'll happen is you'll have, for example, one restaurateur will have a bunch of robots that do different things. One goes out and collects the dishes like the busboys. One, greets the people at the front door like the host. One takes the orders, the table takes the orders, whatever it is. The chef cooks it up. And you just have, I don't know, one manager walking around making sure all the robots are doing, not killing people or anything. So it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And there will be a massive, massive jump in productivity. And you can see it in the value, just the value of these tech companies. It's astronomical. People are just pouring their money into them. The tech companies have more money than the government does. It's amazing. And with that, I mean, think about the power that somebody like Elon Musk has. Not only does he have the cash, billions and billions of dollars, but he's got Starlink. He has the physical power to turn on and off people's communications and satellite control. I mean, like probably targeting systems, things like that. If I were him, I certainly would have built that shit all in with a secret back door. And so I gotta believe that he has as well. Although that puts him at jeopardy if they ever want to go after him, because they'll just claim that he's a traitor, which that's an interesting dynamic, because he's so powerful and they want to keep him powerful, and they want him to get more powerful because they can control a lot of that power, but they can't let him get too powerful. Right? So anyway, that's an interesting dynamic that is affecting the entire monetary situation, and does actually have the power to pull us out of the incredible debt that we've gotten into if it were directed properly, which is not going to be. So hold on to your hats, kids. Right now it is, I forgot to do the date, 2024, July the 29th, I think, right? It's Monday. And I gotta think that within a decade or two, at the most, that we're gonna see some severe financial repercussions on the dollar itself. Now, to talk against me, I've probably been saying that for a decade. So there you have it. Worry if you want to. And what can we do anyway, right? Unless we get a chance to vote on legalizing currency at the state level and through some sort of ballot initiative or something like that. I don't know how we're going to get rid of taxes. That's gonna take a long time. Or maybe we need the whole freaking reset to do that. Maybe the outcome of the whole thing will be people realize, fuck, separation of tax and state, separation of money and state, separation of bank and state. These are constitutional pillars that need to be instituted ASAP and solidified for the future. So anyway, that's my show. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you had a great time. Oh, here's my advertisement. This thing again. I love this thing. Get one of these. This thing is so cool. This is a floss stick. I'm not getting paid for this. You just need one. Trust me. This is the easiest way to floss your teeth. Okay? So